Hello everyone, it's video blog time. It's a beautiful Sunday evening and, well, because it's a beautiful Sunday evening, I want to shoot this video blog outside. I don't know if the lighting's all that great, but it's okay. I got a subject for you all, and that is just advice that I think, things that I think are important when you gig or maybe even when you tour. And yeah, I don't really have like a set structure and like what I'm going to talk about, so we'll see how it goes. But first, I just want to mention Drama. Drama is my brand new song, and you can now stream it here on my YouTube channel, so check it out. It'll be the first the first song on the Chris Sky music playlist, so check that out. And let me know what you think. I may or may not have a music video coming out very soon. We'll see. And if I do, that'll mark the end of my original content releases in 2017. And I think it's been a pretty darn good year, if I have to say so for myself, when it comes to like original content, because and that is what I do. So that's the main thing. That's the main heartbeat of this channel. So if I go back to the beginning of the year, my focus was getting a little tighter with my live play, and then towards like spring, I started writing Star Peaches. And well, a little before that, but I released Star Peaches, which is a children's story, and you can check that out. It'll be the first video you see on this channel, and it's a children's story, but it's about 20 minutes, and I think people of any age can really enjoy it. At least I think. So check that out if you haven't. So just because I released Star Peaches this year, that alone makes it a very good year for me, because it's something I've never done before, you know. And of course, there were like 10 songs that were, you know, for the soundtrack of Star Peaches. So that alone with new music, just on Star Peaches alone. And then I released Beauty Lotto, which is a re-recording of an older song that still exists as well. But the new version you can check out as well. I made a music video for that. And then the new song Drama. So I think it's been a pretty good year. One of the best for me, if not the best, that I've had so far in this solo project. So yeah, I'm excited on how this year has gone for me, and 2018 is coming up, and we'll see how that goes. I'll do a wrap-up video, so I don't want to talk too long about it, but yeah, I'll do a wrap-up video like right before the New Year's. So yeah, onto the subject, gigging, touring. Let me start, I guess, local. Like, you got a local show, and this doesn't matter if you're a band, an artist, a solo artist, acoustic, you know, full metal band, full punk band, comedian. I think it all kind of goes pretty similar. These tips are, I think they work for both. So, at least I think. Now, I haven't done the most extensive touring over the years. I have toured. I have been to most of the key areas of the United States. I could say I've toured across the United States several times, put it that way. So I'm just going by what I've learned over the years. I don't think it's like, take it with a grain of salt, but just gonna let it roll here. So you're playing locally, right? First is first. Rehearse. Now, I know that sounds like, well, yeah, obviously, but just rehearse. Make sure to rehearse. Even it doesn't matter if it's 1 week before or 4 months before. Just start rehearsing. Sometimes you can go, you know, too far in advance, and yeah, you overcook something, obviously. But make sure to rehearse exactly what you are going to do. Now, this does not mean that your set or your songs or your routine has to be identical to your rehearsal. It just means that you know what you're doing at that point, you know, once you get to the stage. And I'm talking about the breaks, the transitions. Even if you have an area that you want to ad-lib, know when you're going to ad-lib. Know what part of the show is spontaneous, you know. Because I sometimes know that, you know, oh, hey, you know, we like to keep it fresh. We like to keep it spontaneous. You'll hear that sometimes. Yeah, but like the pros, a lot of times will keep it spontaneous, but they know exactly where they're going to keep it spontaneous. Or they have a front man who's really good at being spontaneous within a set, you know, program. So there's always like a reason for it, you know. So rehearse. I know it's a simple piece of advice, but make sure you're rehearsed. Okay, so you get to the gig, you got set lists. They don't have to be typed out or anything, but you at least want to make sure you got a copy of it somewhere. Or if you have a really good memory, then, you know, go with it. But for the most part, you're going to want to have that taped somewhere. It doesn't matter, you know, how many songs it is. Make sure you get that taped somewhere. you're gonna need it at some point. And that can go. You can go on and on with that sort of thing. I've seen artists put the keys of their songs. I mean, I don't do that, but it never ends at that point. At that point, I mean, you can keep on going. That's up to you, of course. But just be professional about it. Know more or less. Okay, this I got it down. That way, when you go perform, you even know where you can cut it short if you have to. If time is something went wrong and sound problem. You got to cut a song. Well, then you already know what you want to cut. Because you practiced that. Okay, so onto the show. You do it, and now this goes. I mean, maybe I'll hold on to this piece of advice to the very, very end because it actually goes with the gigging and the touring together. So yeah, let me skip over this for now. But there's all sorts of different kinds of people that gig, right, in a tour. So it's hard to really say something that's going to fit everybody perfectly. So I kind of just want to be vague about it and things that I think are really important. Now I could say make sure to be social, but not everybody's social. Not everybody is born with the same gifts. Did I say that right? Gifts. Yeah. I know I don't have the same gifts that someone else may have, and vice versa. But not everyone is, and being social is a gift. So I mean, you can work at it, and you may have to work at it depending on what role you play in your band or your group. But yeah, you don't have to be social and go to every single person in the venue. You may want to, but you don't necessarily have to. But you want to make sure that you at least give a decent first impression. That's very, very important. I can't stress that enough. If you are the kind that's to yourself, and you wear a hoodie or something, kind of in the corner, then make sure it goes with your art, and make sure you do it in a way that actually goes with your music. There is a way of tying it all in. What I'm saying is you don't want to be the person that just stands out so bad in a way that people just have a negative reaction towards it. Trust me. And I'm not being strict here, really, because any personality type can make it work. So you just gotta look in the mirror a little bit and think, well, who am I? I'm not even saying to change. I'm just saying to look at who you are. Get to know yourself as a person and say, I'm not that social of a person, so I'm going to work the show in this angle. I'm going to be extremely friendly to every single person that comes up to me because I know how I am as a person, and I know this will work and this won't work and whatnot. Okay, that can be somewhat complicated. It's on an individual basis, but basically what I'm saying is just to at least think about it. At least think about how you want to come off during your show, not just on stage but off stage. And it may be for a short period of time. You may show up just right before the gig, and you may leave pretty quick after. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of that. I know some people frown upon that sort of thing, kind of consider it being a diva, but you know what, there are a lot of big bands that they're like that. So I mean, I can't say one's right and one is wrong. All I'm saying is be the best version of you. And if you think about it, you're already ahead of the game a little bit. It's better than just not at all being conscious of it. That right there also holds in the whole presence sort of thing. How you dress, how you walk. It just depends. You can go just like the first tip. You can really go. You can go crazy with this, and then you can get to a point where it's overdone probably. So, just use it how you want. And like I said, take it all with a grain of salt. Okay, so locally, okay, you got your rehearsing done. You have an idea on how you want to present yourself. These are all important things because in the end, it's all about making an impression so that after every gig, something is gained from it. Okay, and that is the number one thing. You don't want to play a gig where it's like, man, I don't feel we gained anything from this gig. You could even say some gigs maybe make you backtrack. That can happen. Say you play to 4 people, 3 people are on their phone, one person kind of turns around, doesn't pay attention. You leave there with your pride, super low, even though you performed let's just say you performed your heart out, you didn't get bummed out during the show and you performed as hard as you can. You're gonna leave with questions in your head, okay? That to me well, you know, you can weigh whether that's a backtrack or a step forward. I mean, that's just your point of view, I guess. I mean, I guess if it makes you ask questions, that may actually even be a step forward. So who knows? I'm not too sure. But let's just say for the ego and for the confidence, it's yeah, you're gonna take a punch with gigs like that. So you're gonna want to do all your homework to not let that happen, because let me tell you, you can actually have positive gigs to 4 people. You totally can. I mean, you never know what can come out of a gig. Now, I'm also not a robot. I also know it's very hard to play your heart out and, you know, see the glass half full when there's, you know, 4 people in a venue, or even 10 people in a venue that are not paying attention. Can feel like nothing, and you may lose your place in the show, and all of a sudden you're not performing that well, and nothing comes from it. We don't want that. See, we want you want to make the most of every single opportunity you have. I know we're not robots, but it's the thought that counts here. Just try to remember that when you're playing a show that's just kind of, it's not going that good, but somebody saw you that night. And the way I see it is, if you get one notch on your social networks, like one, your Facebook, you got a new like, you got a new, and I'm not saying a like on a post, but like a like as in they liked your page, or on Instagram somebody followed you, or, you know, that's what I'm saying. Like, just even if it's one notch, just one person, you never know what that person, you know, you never know what their profile is like. You never know if they're going to share you. So it's very important to see it like that. You have to make sure that you're always moving forward. So when you play locally, that's you know, pretty much it. You know, you want to make sure you let your fans know ahead of time. Not everyone's going to show up. Obviously, don't you know, you need to get to that point mentally where, you know, for the most part, most people are not going to show up, especially if you play a lot, you know, because it's just people work, especially today when there's so much entertainment coming from all over the place. You just have to remember that if someone does go see you play, like, oh my God, like, that's massive. You know, you literally made them stop what they were doing. I mean, they could play video games. What's funner than playing video games? You know what I'm saying? Like, instead they chose to go see you play or perform. So you have to appreciate that. It's not always easy to be super positive about this stuff, but we have to at least try. You have to at least try. So, you know, acknowledge other acts that play with you before, you know, the ones that played before, the ones that played after. I know sometimes you'll forget names. It's okay, but for the most part, give the effort and try to get everybody. And it's just a nice thing to do. It makes sense in the gig environment for the people that are there as well, you know. And yeah, make sure to always appreciate the lineup as a whole. Let's see what else in terms of the local atmosphere and the local you know, scene, I guess you can say. Well, I don't want to make it sound like you have to be this, like, this person who, like, you know, chummies up to, like, everybody in a scene, or everybody in the, you know, in your local mall, or, you know, there's only, you know, you if that's your personality type and you want to do that, and then by all means do it. But like I said earlier, not everybody falls into the same category, and I want this to work for everybody. So you just can't. Not everybody can do that. And it's not human, and it's not even, to me, all that productive. It really, really isn't. And we have to face the facts that music is something that's driven on, guess what? It's the poison word, ego. Ego is massive when it comes to playing live. Like, an ego gets such a bad, like, people, you know, ego, leave your ego at the door, that sort of thing. And, like, yes, ego can kill bands. Ego can make anything fall apart in all walks of life, all across the world. But ego can also take you and give you something and inspire. Trust me, it can. Think of your favorite bands. Think of your favorite artists. Without their ego, they wouldn't be the same live at all. The only difference is that they made it. So when you go see them live to 10,000 people or 100,000 people, that ego is accepted positively. See, it's a positive thing. Whereas on a small venue, if people were like, yeah, that guy, he's got a big ego, he can come out and do the exact same thing he does on a stadium tour, and people will be like, yeah, that guy's full of it, you know? So we have to at least figure out, like, okay, you have to be, you know, like, what's the right term here? Like, you can't be a fool with your ego, you know? You can't push people around with it. That's not good. That's what we all think of when we think of ego. You know, cockiness, being conceited. That's what we don't want. But what we do want is I'm not always crazy about the word confidence either, because it's just so commonly used and it doesn't really say what it is I'm trying to, maybe somewhat, because it is confidence, but I just want to say it correctly here. You want to give magic to people, and in order to do that, you know, it's not the same for every band. It's different. Maybe you're the kind of band that doesn't move around that much. You know, you kind of just stare down, but there's magic in that too if you do it right. And then maybe you are the kind that's like, you know, going crazy on stage and, you know, whatever. I mean, that kind of didn't look too good, but but maybe you are the kind that does stuff like that. But if you work at it, then that's your thing, and it shouldn't be seen as an ego. And I'm only using the term ego because, you know, I think there's a good side of ego and a bad side. So let's use that good side of it to thrill people in concerts and with your live show, at least the people that want to take part in that, you know. So anyways, to me, that's very important, getting a hold of that. And that all falls within your sound, with your presence, which I kind of talked about a little bit already. Now, touring. The main thing with touring to me is make sure you really want to do it. Because let's not lie here to ourselves. We are in music because it's fun. We are in music because it's a fun thing to do. We're not, you know, you may have a 9 to 5 to fuel the music, to fuel the tour, but in the end, we're doing music because we're artists. We want to do it. So when we go tour, it shouldn't be like, maybe if you're on a label and you have to tour, that's a different story. This isn't for you. You know, obviously that's why I always say this is for DIY artists. So you're calling your own shots. You want to go tour, then you should really want to. And never underestimate the things you want. Because a lot of times people say, especially on tours, they tend to highlight the things they need, you know? And after a while, you're pretty much eating tuna out of a can. You're eating Spam. Some people even like that. If you enjoy it, then by all means. But you know, if you want that steak, or if you go to if say you're in, I don't know, enjoy where you're going. Take pit stops. Stop. See the mountains. See the rest stops. You don't want to rush by that. I mean, if you're running late for a gig, then well, obviously don't stop. But plan ahead on this sort of thing. Oh, we're going to be passing through, you know, the Grand Canyon, or we're going to be passing through, you know, that area in Arizona. What do you call it? Where the rocks or the formations are all like they're like balanced on each other. I've been through there several times and I've stopped, but there's been times where I'm like, no, let's stop, please, go, just for a little bit. You know, so you got to see that stuff. Touring isn't just about the shows. It's about the positive experience you're taking. That'll fuel your band and make you actually play better if you're into that sort of thing. You know, so make sure you stop and smell the roses a little bit. I know it's about the things you need and it's about the music. It is. At the end of the day, it is. But you'd be surprised. Giving a little bit of time to the things you want will keep you positive so that you actually accomplish the things you need. That's the way I see it. And that's one thing that I really, really feel gets left behind with a lot of artists and with a lot of bands. And then they get home and they're so tired and they're sick of each other. And which you may be sick of each other anyways. But, you know, you're sick of each other. You're in a bad mood. And your band's not in a good place. You're in a worse place than before you left. And it shouldn't be that way. So the number one thing about touring with me is make sure you want to do it and make sure you know where you're going and set it up almost like a vacation, because you know what, guys and girls, it is one. It's work, but it's still kind of a vacation. You got to know that it is. Unless you're on a grueling year-long, you know, half a year, you know, label sort of thing. And these video blogs really aren't even for you guys because, you know, obviously you wouldn't need a video blog like this to throw tips around. This is a world that's forming, you know. It's the do-it-yourself world of art, music, entertainment. It's growing, so that's why I do these video blogs, to sort of give these tips out. And you know, hotels falls into the whole category of things you want over the things you need, because you may find someone at a gig and say, hey, you can stay at my house. And that may be good sometimes, you know, depending on where it is, who it is, and you know, on the situation. But a lot of times it's uncomfortable and it's not really what you had in mind. sometimes it is really cool. You can save money that way, and that's what I'm saying. Just at least think about it and balance it out. If you're trying to save money because you want to make a music video when you get home, then well, yeah, you may want to look into it. But just staying at people's houses and that sort of thing. But that'll be up to you to separate the things you want and the things you need, and which ones you think are important to. All right, this beats this out and this beats this out. That sort of thing. So just think about that. It's not, you don't throw the things you want in the trash, because they can be important. They can be a very, very important tool to keeping your minds, healthy, so that when you get home, you don't have a setback in any sort of way. You don't need to see a therapist or something like that. But you'd be surprised the amount of stories that come out of touring and stuff like that. Another thing is learn how to pack light, but I guess learn how to pack where you got all the important stuff, but you're not like cluttered in whatever vehicle you're going into. And this doesn't bother you, but for the most people, it's going to bother at least someone in your group. Pack accordingly to the trip, to the tour, to whatever it is you're doing. The travels. That is important to me. You don't want to be clean if it bothers you. At least try to be clean. Set up trash cans in your van, so that every single rest stop you toss them out. And you're back to square one in your van. It's very important. I at least it is for me. But yeah, enjoy yourself more than anything. Touring, enjoy yourself. When you get on stage and if there's 6 people there, at least you've enjoyed yourself, and it'll fuel you to play your show with a smile, or if that's your thing. If you don't smile, then with your scowl on your face, and the crowd that's there will see it, and they'll attach themselves to your band because you're promoting yourself in the way you're supposed to, the way you wanted to in the first place. So I think that covers most of it. It's supposed to be an enjoyable thing. Let's not forget that. Touring is an enjoyable thing. So always bask in the always remember to bask in that light of saying, man, I'm doing what I want, and pump yourself up with that. Okay, see what you want to see, eat what you want to eat, and do it how you see fit. If you need to save money, then figure it out. But always manage to throw a couple things in there that are going to just make you happy, And that's the most important thing to me with all of this when it comes to gigs. Throwing yourself out there in the way you really, really want to, and do it with a lot of zeal, a lot of energy, and rehearse for it, and things are going to be okay. Things will be okay. Even if they're not the best gigs. And then you know what? Sometimes what happens is good gigs start happening. People start talking. Even in this internet age, word of mouth is actually still a thing. And things can start rolling that way. And all of a sudden you're like, whoa, last town was pretty good. And, well, man, this town's good too. And then, well, wait, this next town, it was good too. And a lot of that's from social media and posting things, which is my last tip. Make sure to post. Make sure to post stuff about the tour. I'm not saying to go crazy and post 20 things a day. If you can, if you want, but make sure to post, keep people updated somewhat. Okay, and it doesn't have to be all band related. Sometimes it's just stuff in the van. That mountain's beautiful. I'll take a picture in front of it. Do it, and show parts of the show, clips. Because people from the other town that are gonna get you the next day might want to see that, and things can roll that way. So number one, my number one thing in all of this is have fun with it, and remember, you're a musician, you're a comedian, you're an entertainer, and that's amazing. That's already great. And the whole thing about the wants over the needs, it's not wants over needs. It's just give them some some thought. Figure it out which ones are worth it. And also, the thing I mentioned at the very beginning, always try to make sure that with each gig you gain something. Okay, and it's kind of hard for me to summarize all that because I've talked quite a bit, but just watch it again if you have to, or share it with people that are in the do-it-yourself world of music that you know of, and maybe take it with a grain of salt, and maybe you can take something from this video, and tell somebody else in this world as well, because it's growing and it's not going to stop growing. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Make every gig count in any sort of way, and have fun. Number one. Well, I don't know if the other one was number one or that was number one, so it's up to you. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, rock on.